With Mr. Abubokkar Siddiki, he is an architect, he is a visiting lecturer, and he's also doing other exciting things, which I don't want to go into too much detail because I do know if I do go into too much detail, I'm going to talk too much about it. But of course, I will let you do the talking for me. So, talking about architecture, of course, how did you find your interest in architecture? What drew you to that field?
I wanted to be an architect since the age of 10, 11, and I was always interested in art. And I think one thing my mum said to me was like, well, you know, are you going to make any money from being an artist? And I think that kind of got me thinking. But then as years went on, I realised that, you know, it's not just about painting, but it's about creating what I want to design. And so, yeah, so I kind of did my degree, not degree, but GCSE art and A-level art and photography and graphics, and applied to an architecture school. Amazing.
And I think from speaking with my friends, I know that when you do the first part of architecture, it's like you do the undergraduate degree and then you go on to find experience and then do your master's. And I think, of course, as you are a visiting lecturer, I think it would be only right to ask you, what sort of steps would you take now had you done architecture?
Had I not done architecture?
No, as in, sorry, if you were to study architecture again, what sort of route would you go down?
Well, I think I guess it's what's available now, right? Whereas when I started, there weren't other platforms. So that was the route you take. But now, you have the options of either going to the traditional route of doing your part 1, which is your undergrad, and then part 2, which is your postgrad, and then you do your part 3, and then you have 2 years training between your part 2 and part 3, or you do it after your part 1, part 2, you know, in between. But now what you can do is you can go through, you can work through sort of internships, and then qualify, work, and then with an organisation and get them to support you. But this one is better for your pocket because then the company would support you financially as well and pay for your course.
Yes.
Whereas if you go through the traditional route, you pay for it yourself. So it's whatever is feasible economically for you, that's a route to take. And it's not always easy to get a company to sponsor you.
No, of course.
So, yeah.
I think what really stood out to me when I was reading through your profile, and of course, was Gal Workshop. I think you're working, there's an interesting project that you're doing in Bangladesh at the moment with, I think it's Birmingham University as well as Shah Jalal University. Can you tell me a little bit about that, please?
Sure. It's a project that, it's a collaboration that I created I think during the pandemic, between Birmingham City University and Shah Jalal University of Science and Technology, and with the support of now the King's Foundation. There used to be the Prince Foundation, and also Commonwealth Association of Architects and Planners. And what I do is we do a collaboration where students from SUST, Shah Jalal University, and BCU, Birmingham City University, they work on the project together in groups. So we have 6 groups. Each group has 6 students, and 3 from UK and 3 from Bangladesh. And they work on the village that I was born in, Khazirgaon. And the students from SUS side, they go to the village, they do the survey, they do the analysis, they talk to the villagers and relay that information back to the students here, and together they then develop their project. And this has been running for 5 years now.
Alhamdulillah.
With the 5th year.
Yeah. So, I mean, what's it like working with students in Bangladesh and also students in the UK? What are sort of the issues that might arise from sort of the different areas of that?
I think the students, both sides, they have their strong skills.
Of course.
And then they have sort of weak skills as well. I always find that the students from here are a lot more creative, and students in Bangladesh a lot more technical. but the technical skills is very impressive. They sketch and they draw, and these are really, really, and mind you, to go into SUS, you'd have to do drawing exams. So you have to be really good at it. And but the challenges can be the communication between the students. Sometimes the language is an issue. It's not that they don't understand English. It's because sometimes culturally what we may say in English doesn't always directly translate in Bengali.
Course,
so
yes.
and so that can become complicated. So that can be a challenge, and also then inspiring both sides of the students, because it's done online. So it's keeping them motivated.
Of course.
Yeah, but it's exciting because it's really good to see the mix of the skill sets in Bangladesh and the skills that the students here have, and working together to come up with the final designs.
I mean, with projects like this, it's really, I think, about the interest as well. For myself, if I was to take part in a project like that, I'd be really excited. But I find that a lot of young students struggle to find projects like that. So what can they do to sort of take part in projects in Bangladesh, or sort of contribute to Bangladesh? What do you think they can do?
Well, I mean, that's a difficult one, right? Because I was able to start something like this because of the experience that I have, my background, and the network that I have, and that can take years. But I think that networking is very important. So if there is someone who's passionate about doing things in Bangladesh, there are organisations who are already doing projects, NGOs and voluntary organisations. Reach out to them. But I think it's also important to sort of, some things that I've realised is the skills that we gain here are we can also take them to Bangladesh and apply it there, but work with them. Because there are, and the collaboration was an interesting one, because they can design, and so can the students here can design. It's about using what skills that you have that complement each other to be able to work together, and it's having that approach.
Of course. And again, I think I want to touch upon your experience as well. I understand you've worked in Dubai. So what's sort of the working pattern there versus the UK? Is it a lot of students, at least now I understand, they want to work abroad. So what did you find was different from working in Dubai?
Well, I think having that international skill is impressive for the CV and for yourself, because when you work here you have a certain approach to working, but when you work in Dubai it's a very different approach, and also pace is very different. And when you're working in somewhere like Dubai, you are working with people from different backgrounds. So it's also managing those expectation and your expectation. It's I guess at the end of the day what it is that you want for yourself.
Yeah.
And I've worked in Dubai. Now that I've come back, I find that because of the skills that I have gained, the exposure that I've gained, it has given me the ability to be able to work on projects that I'm working on and creating projects. And also it's made it much more clear for me what I want. And it's not always the case for everyone, but it's about finding what you enjoy.
Of course.
And that saying about if you enjoy what you're doing, you're never working, So it's finding that ground for yourself.
Of course, inshallah. I mean, I hope students, like everyone watching, they do find something passionate, something they find passionate about, or that they can find something interesting. And I think for me, 2025 is going to be that, and of course for everyone watching. So what is 2025 looking for you like? Well,
2025 is going to be an exciting year.
Okay, tell me a bit more.
Because I've just been to Bangladesh recently, and one of the things that I'm working on is working with the universities, a few of the universities that I had visited, and also working with people, residents in Sylhet, and people who have a stake in Sylhet, to look at climate action, and how I then develop those projects so that we can make a positive change that addresses climate issues that Bangladesh is faced with, and especially Sylhet.
course. I think an important question I have actually, and again, a lot of viewers might understand this, I might not, that's why I'm asking. The climate change, of course, climate action in Bangladesh or just anywhere around the world is really important right now. But how does that sort of play within like architecture, sort of surrounding that, and how should students or just people in architecture be aware of an issue like that?
Well, I think, you know, the architecture, built environment, you know, the sustainability, the materials you use,
Yes.
planning, you need to plan. Whether it's your building, whether it's your neighborhood, or whether it's your city, it needs to plan so that it accommodates future growth, that accommodates the growth of the city and takes into consideration people, and also designing so that it takes into consideration the natural disasters and how you can prevent those.
Yes.
So it's important for architects, and I think you learn a lot in universities, but I think we also need to take it on ourselves to learn about what it is that we are doing and how we can change it so that we are not adding to an unsustainable way of living and creating our sort of cities.
Oh, I agree. And I think the final question for you would be, what is it that you would advise students or just people generally interested in architecture? How can they find a career in architecture? Because I understand it's also difficult to find roles, sort of, if you do your undergraduate degree, it's hard to find a job that will give you that experience and then so on. Because I know you've touched upon networking being an important part of it, but how would you go about it?
I think experience, it's tough when you leave university to get a job in architecture.
Yes.
But architecture teaches you skill sets that are, you know, transferable skills that you can apply in other sort of professions. You know, designing, graphic design, and even now with AI, which is very important. I think people who are going into architecture, they need to be on top of their game. Otherwise, it's going to be really difficult. And it's a very competitive world out there, and networking is very important. But and also I think staying up to date with the trends and the how things are being built and where, and and also getting some experience. And sometimes I don't believe in students actually working for free.
I agree.
But unfortunately, it's a difficult one. Yeah. Like sometimes you can do voluntary work, which actually then gets you that extra bit on your CV. But also connect with people, which is very important. If you want to get into architecture, RIBA has lots of resources available, and attend those networking events that's organised by them. Join your local RIBA groups, and I'm chair of RIBA South East London Architects Group, so I always encourage young people to be part of those groups so that they know exactly what's happening, and the networking may be able to get them a job into one of the practices.
Of course, no, inshallah. I really hope that works for everyone watching. I know I will be sharing that advice with a lot of my friends who have spoken to me about that, but thank you so much for being on the show today.